Okay, but that's bigger than Tuscaloosa.
It is. It's
Interesting.
Not bigger than Tallahassee.
I thought it was like Oxford.
Yeah, I also had that impression, but
I thought it was little small, and they had a little square, and then maybe they started a Southern deli chain, and that was it.
I think that
Referring to Nuke's Eatery.
Hey, howdy, hey, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to Mike's Monday Jams, the official podcast for music appreciators everywhere. Today we're going to be talking about the song I Believe by the band R.E.M. Let's get it.
Hello friends, Editing Emma here. Apparently, R.E.M's studio, they're having some huge issue with YouTube right now. It's like current big news. And their label, they're like, anyone who signed to them, like, you can't listen to anything from them on YouTube right now, not even a live version. So I don't want our video to get all these videos are getting taken down. I don't want that to happen to our video, and I also am unable to get the sound to put in the video because it is unavailable on YouTube. So go listen on Spotify on your own time to I Believe by R.E.M. Because you will not, and don't try to listen to it on YouTube because it's not going to work. It's not there. So, apologies. Back to the video.
Last one for September, folks. EC and MC on the track for September 30th. The next bar month is incoming.
Incoming.
October.
October.
The thick of fall. The Oktoberfest.
Sick.
You know, to put more emphasis in the bar aspect of the month.
You could probably pay like $45 to a wristband at your local brewery. It'll get you a free tasting glass, and then you can pay for every beer you get. The wristband actually does nothing, and also all the beer tastes disgusting.
Yeah, and then there's this food truck that normally sells pulled pork barbecue sandwiches, but they're going to try their hand at German sausage because it's Oktoberfest. And
everything is at least $23.
Yes, a la carte. Mm-hmm. You not to forget about combo meals. That's not happening.
Forget about getting a side.
It's not happening. And if you want water, shell out another $4 or $5, brother.
And also, they're going to ask you a quick question. Mm-hmm. And the quick question options are going to be 20, 25, 30.
I've noticed that recently. It feels like the percentages are way too high.
I legitimately saw a 35 one time. And I was like, are you joking? That is nearly half the price.
You're trying to trick people.
And I'm sorry. If it's not a wait staff person, you're getting paid a flat rate. I know it. I don't care if it's not very much.
What is it? What's the rule? If you're standing while I'm ordering?
Yeah, if I stood to order it, which, God, food truck, I got to stand, I got to reach. And I've never met someone who worked at a food truck that was nice. They are always so nasty.
Yep. And 9 times out of 10, you're standing while you eat it, too.
Yep.
There ain't nowhere to sit.
No, I'm not giving you a tip. Don't even try it. I've started hitting the zero with vengeance.
Boom. Ouch.
It's the truth. And if you go to a place that serves you ice cream, those people are not, like, if you go to a restaurant and you're being waited on, those people make money off the tips. They are paid much less than minimum wage because that's how it works, because they get all these tips. That is different. I tip 20% at a restaurant. If I go get ice cream, that person is, and it's a fancy ice cream shop, they're probably making way too damn much money, actually, for scooping ice cream. And I'm not tipping you on top of it. Also, you probably weren't even very nice to me. If I went somewhere and someone was, like, extremely nice, I might consider it. Because that's what, like, a tip jar is for. Like, your change or whatever. I'm fine with that. If you were, like, extremely nice and super, like above and beyond, that is the point of a tip at an ice cream restaurant.
Yeah, you, asked me how my day was going.
Yeah, you are not making your wages off the tip.
You butter me up by telling me that I made a good choice in flavors.
Yeah. Give me a sample.
Yeah, or you're like, oh, we just made that one flavor that you're specifically looking for. Made me feel special.
Yeah. The worst is when you go to the Starbucks drive-thru and then your app is like, would you like to tip your barista? It's no, actually it took them 30 minutes to make my order. They were mean to me and it's wrong. No, I won't be tipping them.
And there's a billion people here. No thanks. Duncan would never.
Duncan does not ask for a tip. That is true.
Never.
That is very true.
America runs on it for a reason.
Hell yeah, brother.
We went and did the country Malone thing this past week.
Sick.
What'd you think?
It was sick as hell. It was so good. I loved it. There were way too damn many people there.
Mm-hmm. One of those things where it's like if 15 people were on the same page about something nefarious, then we would have had Astro World on our
yeah, it was
hands.
a little... Anytime you go to an event, it's just like, there are too many people here. Like, this is unsafe. It does kind of scare me a little bit. But I was beveraged up, so I wasn't too scared. So that was good. It was a great time. The show was awesome. He's so funny because he's so profane but so polite.
Yes.
He kept saying thank you so much.
Yeah.
Every time. And I thought that was so funny. Because he'd be like, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much.
Yeah.
And I thought that was hilarious.
He, called us MFers a lot, too.
Yeah, but in the most polite way.
It's the same, like...
Ladies and gentlemen, you MFers.
Dare I say, Dave Grohl does the same thing, where he's just, like, constantly calling people MFers.
He wasn't polite, though. He's not a gentleman.
Well,
he's definitely...
not a gentleman.
He actually might be the opposite of a gentleman nowadays.
He's definitely not a gentleman, but, like, he does mean it in, like, a...
I mean, it's an endearing
kinda
way, yes.
Yeah.
But Posty was like, he was like being so like polite the whole time. He talks, the way he looks and the way he speaks are just so
Two
vastly
different
different. Because
Yes.
he's like talking like, talks so nicely and gently.
Yeah.
And like, it's like the way you look and what's coming out of your mouth, and also compared to the words you're saying.
Right.
Just so wild.
Especially, like, he's like... For one, like, So we were unsure of, like, how the commitment to the F1 trillion thing would look. Like, if it was going to be full thing, just F1 trillion, or if it was just going to be, like, I'm going to do the F1 trillion thing, then maybe I'll, like, send the band away, do some of the, like, rap songs, or...
Yeah, we didn't know what it was going to be like, and we didn't, like, as we said last week, we didn't want to look it up.
No. But full band, full time, even for the rap songs.
He played White Iverson, and there was a steel guitar.
Yeah. I can admire the commitment.
I'm not saying that, like, I'm like that. I would have picked another song off F1 Trillion over hearing White Iverson with a steel guitar, but it was perhaps one of the most creative things I have ever witnessed at a concert. Like,
yeah,
it was so interesting. It was, and it felt like he just really enjoyed it.
But yeah, he
was
do
so
that thing
happy.
where he just get all appreciative and call us MFers, and then like Rockstar come on and be like, I'm a fucking rockstar. It's like, geez, like his demeanor and his stage presence are, I feel, two different things.
I thought I had a great time.
His dogs were out from song
barefoot.
3 on, but he had some camo Crocs that were pretty sick.
Yeah, and they had little giblets on them. I do think he has his own Crocs, but I don't think those are them.
No.
I think those were his personal Crocs.
Could have been. It was funny, though. He was talking about the Cowboys game upcoming because it was on Saturday night. And, like, everybody's, like, booing him. Like, boo! Like, the Cowboys. Like, gotta love the Cowboys hate.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't care less, personally.
You gotta love the Cowboys
He likes the Cowboys for some odd reason. And, I mean, Jerry World is sick as hell.
It is sick, but the Cowboys?
No, I mean...
Nah, I gotta side with Stephen A. on that.
Dak Prescott. Even if we know somebody who pretends that Dak Prescott hit on her one time, she's not listening.
Nah, I'm good. Also recently watched a video on Rick Beato's channel about like how there's like a lack of bands now in modern day. And the most interesting stat was that like of like the top 400 most streamed artists on Spotify in the world, only 3 of them were bands that were created in the last 10 years.
Wild. Like
the top 10 list of artists that were like most streamed right now, like have the most monthly listeners. I don't think there was a band on it in the top 10.
I can't think of one. I would think it was.
Oh, there was one. Number 5 was Coldplay.
Ooh.
But like top 10, it was all like solo. It was all solo artists. Billie Eilish, The Weeknd, Taylor Swift. Like it was all. So it's an interesting trend that we find ourselves in the music landscape. But You know, people talk about it all the time. They're just not captivated by like rock bands anymore. And there's just a few of them that are, you know, still have been around for a couple decades, and they're still putting out new music, and some of it's good and some of it's not. And,
Yeah.
you know, people aren't captivated by rock anymore, which is interesting to me.
It is interesting.
Because a lot of like the music industry as a whole, and a lot of like how concerts work, and a lot of how like people tour is based off of like, you know, rock musicians and having personnel with you with instruments and designing a show around it and trying to put a steel guitar to White Iverson, you know. So it's just interesting. So because even like the indie bands we like, you know, they're not gaining really like massive worldwide attention.
No, I don't think Jeffrey Jordan is Mr. Worldwide just yet.
He's not. So see, interesting to see where that trend goes, and you know what bands look like in the next 5-10 years even. It'll be fascinating. But we're talking about a band today, talking about R.E.M. How do you feel about R.E.M? I know they're not on your favorites list, but
I wouldn't say so. I'm not a hater. You know, I'm not hating, but it's not something I would ever listen to on my own.
And why is that?
I find him a little whiny.
Him? Michael Stipe? Okay. But
at first you said that, and I was like, are you about to say this as a woman? Because I'm pretty damn sure.
I think it's like when people refer to like Led Zeppelin. Oh, I love that guy, Led Zeppelin.
Well, I'm talking about him singing.
Okay.
That's why I said him. I know that he is not, R.E.M. is not one guy, but I'm talking about his voice is
like
whiny.
Pink Floyd, yeah, I love that guy. Okay.
Rascal Flatts.
Yeah, love that guy.
I thought Rascal Flatts was one dude. By the way, update.
Still nothing.
Still no tour, but they are still posting a lot. And all the comments are like, y'all, giddy up and tell us what the hell you're doing.
But you think the voice is whiny. Okay, interesting.
A little whiny.
The music isn't good enough to distract from the whiny voice, in your opinion?
It's not, you know, fully. It's not going to commit me to listening to R.E.M. on my own, but I mean, like I said, I'm not a hater. I'm not like, oh my God, turn that shit off.
I think that they have done a lot for the alt bands that we like today. Like
I'm sure, yeah.
Because even with today's song, like, is very alt rocky origins, and it came out in '86. You know, like even before grunge was a thing, like they were doing like this whole alt rock, like we're kind of different thing, you know. So and you can at least acknowledge that.
Alternative can lean into whiny. Sometimes people be whining, so it's
even
okay.
Maddie Healy be whining sometimes.
Yes. So I'm not a hater.
Okay.
It's just not a personal preference.
Okay. Maybe we can convince you. Maybe.
I don't know. It's not really my thing to be convinced into stuff I don't like.
No, it's not. Especially music. She's not.
I've got other things I like. Why would I take my time to try to make myself like stuff I don't really like? I don't really understand.
Hence your everyday jam section.
Exactly. What's the point of that?
You don't listen to new music. But R.E.M., they're from Athens, Georgia. They were students at UGA, so they did meet there. They didn't graduate, but
do you think they ever bark at people?
I don't. They're not the type to, you know, be like all gung-ho about school spirit, it seems.
This is not the week to be discussing people that went to Georgia.
Listen, they didn't graduate. They just were there, and they met, and it was a good time.
Plenty of people that don't graduate and still claim schools.
Or people that didn't even have set foot on the
That's
campus.
Very true.
A.K.A. half the University of Miami's fan base.
Yeah, I love when people go to Duke basketball games and they ask people outside, like, did you go to Duke? They're
nope.
Like, no.
Nope. Nope. Like, okay. But Michael Stipe and guitarist Peter met at Wookstree Records in Athens because Peter was working there, and it is the oldest still around open record store in the state of Georgia.
That's cool.
In Athens.
That'd be cool to go there.
Oh, yeah. I would like to go to Athens. Like, I don't, I obviously don't like UGA, but, like, it's still a very, like, big southern SEC school.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, but I want to go to every SEC stadium. So, like, I'd like to go.
Was it Sanford State? Sanford?
Sanford.
Sanford.
Which At this point, I've been to a lot of SEC schools, but I haven't been to every stadium because, like, I've been to several of the schools, like, with other sports, but I've never been to UGA.
And it's easy to, I guess, get to. It's not that far from Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not like some of these other, like, Starkville is just like, ooh, where am I going to fly in and try to make it there, you know?
Memphis? Drive 3 hours away?
So, but yeah, I'd like to go to Athens, and it was a big part for, like, the Athens music scene is like a thing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Again, shout out Dan Boudreau. Like, half of the stuff he sent me the last couple of weeks has been a part of, like, the Athens music scene that, like, some of those guys that just didn't make it as big as some of these other acts.
Interesting.
Like B-52s, they were from Athens. Widespread Panic, which, like,
Not for me.
A couple other groups, but
That's so how big is Athens?
I don't. In terms of population, I am unsure. But
I've always thought it was like
also,
Oxford.
It's wait, no, not Athens, Greece. It was like 643,000 people. I was like, that's not
I don't
it.
think that's true.
128,000 as of 2022. Just a little smaller than Savannah and smaller than Augusta.
Okay, but that's bigger than Tuscaloosa.
It is. It's
Interesting.
Not bigger than Tallahassee.
I thought it was like Oxford.
Yeah, I also had that impression, but
I thought it was little small and they had a little square, and
I
then
think
maybe they started a Southern deli chain, and that was it.
I think that
Referring to Nuke's Eatery.
the reason why because like the Athens music scene is a thing is because like post-Civil War, like Atlanta was like destroyed, but Athens was not. And I think a lot of post-Civil War, like Athens attracted a lot of like culture and like a lot of like music because Atlanta was destroyed.
Interesting.
And so that's how we have Athens as a city has perpetuated this like music scene.
Okay. Do you think
Which is
there a music scene in Helen, Georgia?
Yeah, especially in October.
Yeah, that's where to go next month is to Helen, Georgia, actually.
The MMJ sponsored destination of the month, Helen, Georgia.
Oh my God, if we could do an episode from Helen, Georgia,
ooh,
that'd be sick.
put us on.
Give us some lederhosen.
Lederhosen. Eat some sausage, some sauerkraut.
And drink lots of beer.
Yes. The name for the band came from a dictionary. They say that it has nothing to do with the concept of like rapid eye movement, because the like doctors that coined the term like came after them once they got famous of like, hey, give us some credit for coming up with the name for it.
Huh?
And Michael Stipe was like, it has nothing to do with that. Like, we just kind of picked it out of a dictionary, man. Like, you know.
Also, how would that have anything to do with their doctors? That's just the doctors didn't come up with rapid eye movement.
No, but they named it. They named like the type of sleep where you know where most of your vivid dreams go with their.
It's not trademarked.
Well, they were upset about it.
It's like, what if they were like, oh, you can't name it heart disease? What?
They were upset about it, but he was like, oh yeah, they have nothing to do. And so people online all the time are like, I wonder, during that phone call when he hung up the phone, he was probably just like laughing to himself, like, hee hee hee. Because it's, you know, what else would R.E.M. stand for?
Roasted edamame toots.
R.E.T.?
Oh. I don't know why.
Talking about, I don't know about no R.E.T. Is this a band I need to familiarize myself with?
I have no idea why I said D. I'm not even going to try again. I do not know. Y'all, I slept real hard last night. I even put on my caffeine under eye stuff.
Mm-hmm. Didn't work.
I'd be yawning.
Now you're yawning.
I'd be yawning just thinking about it. I don't really feel that tired. I think it's just, this is the first gloomy day we've had in like weeks.
Yep.
And so I think it's just like giving me that vibe. But honestly, we were due for a gloomy day. Like I'm not.
We sure
like,
were.
I'm really not angry about it. It's just, it is a gloomy day, and so it's making me feel a little tired, I think.
Impacting your contract negotiations for next year as the co-host.
I know.
A lot of R.E.M. success came from like bootleg sharing and like, you know, college bar scene kind of thing. More bear. And they kind of circulated that way. Listening to R.E.M. always makes me feel like different. You know, like, like hipster kids, like, I listen to this indie band, like, blah, blah, blah.
They play R.E.M. on 80s on 8.
I know, but there's just something about it. I'm like, every time I listen to R.E.M., I'm like, I'm different. You know, like, I like R.E.M.
Feel that
but,
way.
Well, no, you don't like them, so why would you? But, like, there's something about them as a band, and maybe just because they are a little bit unconventional, they were ahead of their time for the alt thing. Like, they're not a band anymore, really, and so there's something about it that I'm like, I feel different.
When I was a kid, and, you know, as we've spoken on this podcast many times before, my family was leading the charge with Sirius XM radio. My dad had the plug-in for
They got in on the ground
Civic.
floor.
And they played on 80s on 8. I thought R.E.M. and R.E.O. Speedwagon were the same band. Could not be farther
and
from
R.E.T.
the truth. And R.E.T., whoever that is. Never mind, I can't say that.
So, yeah, I always feel different listening to R.E.M. And one of their albums was recorded in Memphis. We talked about it on the podcast before. But this was 2 albums after this one.
What did we talk about on the podcast before?
Sometime when we were talking about Memphis. I don't
we did.
Definitely mentioned.
I was like, when did we do another episode about R.E.M.?
It's their Green album. That was, 1988? That was like 2 after this one. Was recorded in Memphis. So that's pretty cool. And they had a sizable influence on a lot of people. Like Kurt Cobain famously really loved R.E.M. A couple other groups, derived a lot from. So that's what I mean. They laid groundwork for a lot of alternative stuff.
Sick.
But they're technically done. They finished around this time last year in 2011. They announced that they'd be done. But an amicable split, nothing.
Around this time last year in 2011?
We're both losing it. Around this time in 2011.
Okay.
Like September 2011.
Gotcha.
They decided to call it quits. But it was all friendly. It was all agreed upon. They are the epitome of quitting while you're ahead. It's the same with Rush, where it's we are able to produce this product at a very, very high level that we're all happy with. If we continue, we won't be able to. And that's where they drew the line, which you got to give a lot of respect for. Because it's the polar opposite of I'm going to do this until the wheels fall off, like a Bruce Springsteen or Mick Jagger, or it's we as a band are so happy with the product that we've been producing for many years that we don't want anything like that to be tarnished.
More power to them.
Yeah, it's a hard choice to make, especially because earlier this year they got inducted into the Songwriters Hall of Fame. And they got back together for they played Losing My Religion together, for that ceremony. And they hadn't played on stage as a band together since, 2011.
That's cool.
And that's hard to especially if people are pressuring you, you get this big thing and you decide to get on stage and it's oh yeah, they're going to come back. They're going to come back. And it's no, we're still not, that's not something we're interested in, So that's got to be tough as a band to face that pressure and to still.
Yeah. I'm putting the pressure on Rascal Flatts though.
Yeah, but that's different.
I know.
Gary Levox still sounds like an angel.
Absolutely. Does my dad have something about R.E.M. that we should bring up?
He's a big fan.
Wasn't he wasn't that one of those shows he wished he went to or something?
I believe so. No, I think he did see R.E.M. on the Monster Tour, if I remember correctly.
He said something about him. I remember Dad, and I remember you said something.
My dad's biggest flex is that he saw them at Florida State in Tallahassee in the early 80s, before
Maybe that's what I'm
album.
Thinking about.
Yes. So he's got that, but I do think your dad has seen R.E.M., but Monster Tour, that was early 90s.
All right, cool.
94-ish, so.
Well, also, I mean, in the 80s, they're children in the 80s, but he was a child, so it'd be kind of crazy to go see R.E.M. as a literal child.
Yes. But no, my dad did go see R.E.M. very, very early in their career. He said that they were handing out little cassettes and CDs after the show kind of thing.
That'd be cool to have one of those.
Yeah, I don't think he knows where it is. It's, obviously somewhere around whatever. But yeah, they just reunited earlier this year for one performance. And, even in the interviews, people were oh, what does it take to get you to return? And, they were nothing. We are, pretty affirmed in our decision. But today's album, Life's Rich Pageant, came out on July 28th, 1986.
Oh.
It was recorded at Mellencamp's studio in Indiana. That was built for Mellencamp like in '84, and this album is more of like a transition for them because up until this point it had been kind of like, low budget, like low produced, like some EPs, 2 or 3 albums, and this was like, let's try to take it to the next level. Mm-hmm. So they wanted this fella who we've already mentioned, Don Gaiman, who produced the Hootie album.
Oh.
Cracked Review.
What a guy.
They call this guy up. He comes to Athens, goes to a couple shows, and at first they were kind of skeptical of him. He was kind of skeptical of them because R.E.M.
Standoffish.
Yes. R.E.M. was very like set in their ways, like we're going to do what we want. And they thought because he was like from the record company, he was going to like trim a lot of stuff, make it his way kind of thing. But his model was like, let's do what you're doing, but let's keep going further. Like, let's build on the layers. Like, let's add to this.
They're scared of the big man.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Understandable.
Yes. So a little flashback to Hootie and Mr. Don here.
Did you know that Hootie came out at Neyland Stadium with Big Mo?
Neyland Stadium?
At Neyland Stadium.
Like Darius?
Mm-hmm.
Dang.
He came. They did Wagon Wheel.
Sick.
Lauren told me that. Also, Miranda Lambert came out, and she helped write "Thought You Should Know," and she sang it with him. And then, Hootie came out. They did Wagon Wheel just for gigs, I guess.
Well, Johnson City, Tennessee, it's close, not closer to Knoxville,
I guess. But yeah. Kind of just a side note there.
And
Lauren told me that she was there.
Chief came.
Yeah, but I think that was Saturday. On Sunday, it was Miranda and Hootie himself.
Was that when Peyton dressed up in his pads?
I don't know. He looks so funny though.
So goofy, and he put on the helmet too.
He looked like he was a little kid dressed up as Peyton Manning.
He was going trick or treating at the Morgan Wallen show.
Which I'm sure he thought it was funny too. Like, I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Peyton Manning is a goofy guy.
Yeah.
I'm not like, Peyton was being real serious, dressed up as himself. But
it's like, man, the CTE must really be getting to him. He's back in Knoxville. He's like, I got
way too big to have CTE, bro.
Gotta put the pads back on.
They was funny looking
though. Yeah, that is good. But for recording this album, they allegedly had a blast. Like, it was pretty easy. Like, the creative juices were flowing. Lots of creative energy. And Mr. Don challenged R.E.M. a lot during the recording of this album, especially with Michael Stipe, like, to make lyrics, because Don's big thing is, like, you have to have lyrics that, like, make sense to your audience, that, like, your audience can pull something from. And at first, Michael Stipe got, like, real frustrated with him, but because of this challenge, like, it involved him to be less self-indulgent and to be a little bit more accessible to, the masses. And so that's kind of something you see with this album. And it's a lot clearer. Like, I think that it influenced a lot of how they recorded their later albums and their, like, very commercially successful albums. But Don didn't want to continue with them after this album. He was like, I like y'all, I think y'all are great, but he was looking to, like, make something big, and he didn't think R.E.M. was capable of making something big, which was T.
And he thought Hootie was? He must have really been going around the SEC because he got he's helping Hootie out of South Carolina. Man,
Athens.
I wonder who else he got.
Yeah. But, it was recorded in Indiana, but...
Yeah, well, I'm saying.
Yeah, I get you. Just more so.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. You're welcome. But because so this was like 1986. It came out just after Mellencamp's like Scarecrow, and the albums sound very similar because there's like only a year apart in like recording. It's at the same studio, like obviously the same producer. So like especially you can hear it in the snare. It just sounds like very open, like Midwestern-y. And it gives it a nice little vibe, I would say. Very, very unique, and I think this album in particular stands out amongst R.E.M's catalog for a lot of reasons, but including that one. The title is based on an old English idiom Life's Rich Pageant. So basically saying that, like, you know, less than favorable things are still a part of life, you know, even in a rich pageant. Like, you know, there's...
Well, it's
still,
riches and there's a lot.
Yes.
A lot of things.
Yes.
Rich with ups and downs.
Correct. And the cover alludes to Buffalo Bill because the man on the cover, the top half is the drummer Bill's head, Bill Berry, and the bottom is a pair of two bison. So it's like Buffalo Bill, you know, old Western legend and
not my
hero.
favorite Buffalo Bill.
That's not Thanksgiving yet.
It's not Thanksgiving, the time of year that you watch Silence of the Lambs. It's a seasonal movie.
And this album put more of a spotlight on them. It attracted a little bit more attention. They had 2 singles. Their first gold single, Fall on Me, and then they did a cover of Superman. So it's a pretty solid album. It's more in the, you got to be looking for it though. It's a little bit deeper, but it's definitely worth the dive. And if you like alternative music, you should definitely give this album a spin, because I guarantee you'll be able to pick out things in a lot of bands that you like today.
You know, now that I'm thinking about it, I do feel like sometimes, you know, if I'm trying to, you know, not hype myself up, that's not the right term, but bring myself to do something, I'll sing their whiny Superman to do it.
Okay.
I am Superman. I can do anything. I say that, I do that sometimes.
Okay.
If I'm unhappy about something, I gotta do it.
Okay.
Because they sound unhappy.
Whatever you got to do.
Yeah.
Today's song, I believe it, you know, deep cut, but is appreciated by fans of R.E.M. The intro, such a fake out, you know, like, you're like, where's this going? Banjo? Like, what the heck? And you thought it was resemblant of Eastbound and Down?
It seems reminiscent of Eastbound and Down.
Or is that just any banjo?
No. I've listened to probably thousands of songs with banjos in them,
including Banjo by Rascal Flatts.
Including Banjo by Rascal Flatts. I do not say they all sound like Eastbound and Down, but it does. It does. It's fast picking. You were getting pissy with me because it doesn't have the same amount of chords, but I do think it is, if not in the same key, a very similar key.
Okay.
So it does sound pretty... I'm not saying it is the same. It is reminiscent of.
But when you put it on, because I think it's like the second song on the second side, like when you put it on, like you've already listened to like half this album, and then it's just like banjo, like,
the hell?
Yeah. But, you know, it only lasts like 10 seconds, and then you're thrust into the song.
Jeez. Need to move with that.
Dive in head first. But some particular music pieces that we enjoy about this one, Peter Buck, guitarist, he's like, his thing is like the arpeggios with his guitar playing. So this is like peak. This is like perfectly encapsulating like his style of guitar playing. And if you know, listen to other R.E.M. songs, you'll be able to pick up on that. The harmonies in the chorus, you know, leading up to the I believes with those are some really nice layers there. There's a lot of words, a lot of lyrics, but it doesn't feel like too much. It feels like it's packed in there, but I don't ever feel overwhelmed. And there's a nice accordion in the bridge to provide something a little different too. Ratatouille has entered the chat. Le Fétin.
Wouldn't it be fun to play the accordion?
It you know, I see that, what is it, the Progressive commercial where they're doing the accordion battle? You know what I'm talking about?
I think that's Geico.
One of them.
It's an insurance company for sure. Yeah. It might be Allstate.
One of them. I would love to be. That is such a flex.
Part of it looks hard, but then also part of it, I'm like, maybe it's actually easy.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people can play the, like, I think it's one of those things that some people, like, learn how to do to say that they did it. Yeah. And it seems like there's a good amount of people who are like, oh, yeah, I can play the accordion.
Yeah, but where are you picking one up?
You have to learn. You don't have to learn how to play the piano. You just have to know what the keys are.
Yes.
So.
But where are you picking one up? You know,
I'm not sure.
You can't get one at Target.
Are they expensive?
I'm sure.
Look on Sweetwater right now. Let's find out how much accordions cost. Recently found out we could get a steel guitar on Sweetwater for not that much.
For sale. Do I need to use Google Shopping?
No, look it up on Sweetwater.
I don't know if literally top question, is an accordion difficult to play?
Why'd you say that like Patrick? Is an accordion an instrument? Yes.
The internet's being slow. Whoa, some of these. Hold up,
I saw
back.
$2,000.
Yeah, okay, but there's a mini traveler accordion for about $350.
We could invest in that.
Yeah, a Student X piano accordion under $400 Amazon.
And then, oh my God, and then you could start learning how to play polka, like Weird Al.
And like that guy from he plays Uncle Buck, but in Home Alone he's in the polka band.
Oh yeah, the polka king is the polka something of Chicago.
Yeah, sure. Yep.
No, the polka of the Midwest. No, I'm thinking about Sausage King of Chicago and Ferris Bueller. I'm getting them. I don't think that's the same guy.
Hey, bada so wing.
I don't think it's the same guy, but yeah, no.
Gus Polinski. Hard. Polka King of the Midwest.
You're Abe Froman,
That's right. I'm Abe Froman.
the Sausage King of Chicago.
Yeah.
Just like him. That's
But-
what I've always wanted in my husband. To be just like the polka guy from Home Alone.
It's always fun to hear an accordion though. No matter the
course.
song, no matter the context.
Of
I think
course.
it's just one of those fun instruments.
The only time I wouldn't want to hear accordion is if I'm currently asleep and it's going to wake me up. That's what I would have to say.
Or maybe, if I was getting something invasive done at the dentist or
I
something.
was literally just about to say if I was at the dentist, I don't know if I'd want to hear an accordion.
I feel like at the dentist,
Although,
all I
if it
want to
would-
hear is like watercolors,
I don't know. If the accordion would drown out the sound of the drill at the dentist,
That's fair.
I would definitely pick an accordion over
But part of
that.
the sound is that it's the vibration.
Oh,
and it's
I
going to
hate
your
it.
brain.
Oh, I hate
so
it.
you
Oh.
you can't avoid that one.
Oh, and then when it's like smoky, oh my God. We go to a really, really scary dentist up here.
The song covers, in my opinion, like optimism to change. Like maybe you've reached a point, and it often happens in life when we kind of go through chapters or we reach some transitions. But maybe you have reached that transition and you've realized that your schema up until this point have not or are not working. Like there changes is necessary. Like very coming of age kind of thing. Because like the lyrical content is like talking about shirt wearing thin, humor wearing thin, and like welcoming the change of like, oh, we gotta maybe make some recourse here.
Gotcha.
And I think that's very symbolic of the band at the time because they're trying to progress. They're trying to make something bigger, a little bit more different. And so it's like emblematic for them to be like, yeah, we're welcoming this change. But it seems very optimistic because you're putting the like, I believe into it. Like this is necessary. And then also the line like perfect is a fault and fault lines change. Because it's like, well, yeah, we're striving for perfection, but sometimes perfection changes when we look at it and in the scheme of relativity. So,
I'm getting deep here today.
well, they did it for me. I'm just analyzing. I am just analyzing.
All right.
But now it's time for the segment portion of today's show, always kicking it off, of course, with Emma's Everyday Jam.
Okay, so for my everyday jam today, honestly, I feel like I haven't been jamming that much this week, which I don't know.
You always
why.
got to be jamming, man.
I know, always be jamming, ABJ.
ABJ.
But I don't know what's up. But I am excited, and I'm getting hyped. Literally tomorrow, we're going to see Vampire Weekend, which will be fulfilling one of my predictions for the year. I came up with it.
Hour.
A prediction
Hour.
from our household for the year to be able to see Vampire Weekend, and I'm so excited. Love them for many moons, perhaps I might say a decade. And I'll tell you one thing, At one point in my life, I had multiple Vampire Weekend vinyls. And one of them disappeared. I don't know what nasty little witch came over to my house and stole
It was
the red
Rashida
one.
Jones.
But I'm very excited. So my favorite Vampire Weekend song is definitely Harmony Hall. Like, huge vote.
HH.
Big vote of mine. So I'm going to pick Harmony Hall as my everyday jam.
And the stone walls of harmony all bear witness. Anybody with a wooden mind can never forgive the sight of wicked snakes inside a place you thought was dignified. I don't want to live like this, but I don't want to die.
Excellent choice. Now it's time for our major and minor chords. Of course, the segment in which we talk about our respective highs and lows for the week. What say you?
My low is probably, I mean, things are going pretty good. Not any major lows. But just generally work has been quite stressful. We just have really a lot going on right now, and really we do not have enough people for all of the things we've got going on, but there's a lot of optimism that things are looking up, so that's exciting. It's just been, this week has been a bit of a lot, but it's okay. Tonight shouldn't be a lot. I don't expect a lot this evening. I'm gonna say that and like somebody's gonna die or something. I hope not.
Nick Saban will retire. He can't retire twice. Well, I mean, he's got to retire eventually from doing college game.
Yeah, but he better make
day,
it through the damn season, okay? That'd be pretty rude of him to quit literally the week he's going to Tuscaloosa. Anyways, but yes, that would be my low. And my high is that we're going to see Vampire Weekend. We rearranged our schedule a little bit, so I will be watching the Georgia-Alabama game, so I'm pretty hype about that. And Roll Tide.
I would say that a minor is that September went way too fast.
September was fast.
I feel as if even stuff that happened 2 weekends ago, I'm like, oh yeah, that was just yesterday. But it was not.
We started the month at home.
Yeah. September went way too fast.
Crazy.
So maybe October, hopefully, will not be the same. Major, I just feel like I've been listening to a lot of really good music lately.
Great.
It's just my current jams are just loaded.
Great.
So, wouldn't you like to be me? So, I'll share the playlist, but, I feel like
I'll drop a link.
I've had a lot of options. I always feel like I have, like, not good days. And then it's like compounded with like, I don't got nothing to listen to, like there's like 10 songs on the current jams playlist and I'm getting tired of those 10, but I don't want to have no songs on the current jams playlist. So man, I'm having a good time in that regard.
Sick. I would like to make one final question before we get into our honorable mentions. I put chapters on the last YouTube video. Y'all let me know. Did you even notice they were there? Did you like them? Can you stop that? All those things and more. Drop them in the comments. How do you feel about the chapters?
Yeah. Last but not least, it's time for our honorable mentions, the songs that almost made the cut or follow a similar theme, rhyme, reason. The first one up on the list is another one of my favorites from R.E.M. And it, again, has that like arpeggiated guitar thing going on. It does it so well. Go listen to Near Wild Heaven from their Out of Time album. I guess I'll pick a Vampire Weekend song as well, given that the album's in the background as well.
To our
but
pumpkins.
Go listen to another HH by Vampire Weekend. Go listen to Hannah Hunt.
If I can't trust you, then damn it, Hannah. There's no future, there's no answer. Though we live on the US dollar, you and me, we got our own sense of time.
They love to do a weird name, man.
I mean, the band's called Vampire Weekend.
Yeah, but
they're not goth at all.
Diane
They're
Young.
actually preppy.
Oh, yeah.
Incredibly preppy. And not this new... The way the young people, like, young isn't. We're young.
The
but
way
I mean,
the young people.
I mean, as in like children use the word preppy nowadays is not what the word preppy means.
No.
I don't know if you've seen all this. I think it's more of a girl thing.
I ain't got no
Not
clue.
my preppy.
Last
They're the real definition of preppy.
Last but not least, it's just been in my head. I think it just came up the other day when we were doing the like song roulette. Elevate by St. Lucia. Lucia,
like the place.
Lucia. That's going to do it for us this week, folks. We appreciate the like, follow, subscribe, listen, comment, rating, and engagement. And we shall see you next week for October.
Bye.